Great new day to all my self care friends and family. Welcome back to another Room to Breathe episode. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so glad that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into today's episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, be sure to show us some love. Tap that screen, like, comment, and share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you are always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to invite you to check out our digital home at the selfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and a bunch of free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you were supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, I want you to give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, but most importantly, for you. And remember, if anything in today's episode hits home, I want you to drop some green hearts in the chat. It is our way of saying that I am healing, I am growing, and I am showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Before we dive in, I just want everybody to take a deep breath with me. I want you to inhale through your nose. And when I say inhale, I want you to inhale peace. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to exhale the weight of everything you have been carrying. Again, breathe in through your nose. And exhale from your mouth. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. All right. I think it's important to sometimes just pause, right? Just to take a breath. Because let's be real. The weight that we carry just from, living life day to day, it can be heavy. And if we're telling the truth, most of the weight that we're carrying, it ain't coming from our workload, not our bank account, or even our mistakes. 9 times out of 10, the weight that we are carrying is tied to one thing, and that's other people, right? And again, y'all, let's just call it what it is, because the number one cause of stress in your life is not always bills. It's not always your job or your mistakes. It's people, other people, right? It's that coworker who thinks that, your paycheck comes with their signature, and so they decide to micromanage every move you make. Or it's that family member who always has something slick to say. No matter how much healing or growth or progress you've made, they always got some smart comment for you. Welcome in, coach. Or, it's that partner who checks out when, when you're pouring out your heart, making you feel like you're speaking a language that they don't understand. Thank you, coach. And let's not forget them friends, y'all. Right, Kale? Them friends. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about. The ones who ghost you when you're in need, but suddenly reappear the minute that they're in crisis. Ghost, welcome back, bro. See, money can stress you out. And work can stress you out. Life itself can stress you out. But nothing, and I mean nothing, hits your spirit like the stress from another human being. Right? My peeps on Facebook said that part, all that, right? Because when it's personal, when it's tied to a relationship, it feels like rejection. It feels like betrayal. It feels like you gave someone the blueprint to your heart and they used it to build walls instead of bridges. And sometimes, you know, it's not even what they did. It's about how much of yourself that you gave before they did it. That's the part that stings. And if I'm being vulnerable with you guys for just a moment, there was a season in my life when one person seemed to just have the power to hijack my peace with an instant. I'm talking about one text, one look, one comment, and suddenly my entire mood would be flipped upside down. Like my chest would tighten, my thoughts would start to spiral, and I'd be lying awake sometimes at night just replaying the entire conversation in my head over and over again. Like, did I say the wrong thing? Should I have stayed quiet? Did I do too much? Is it me? Right, Brooks? Like, is it me? Did I do enough? Thank you so much. Meanwhile, guess what they was doing? Sleeping like a baby, right? Without a care in the world. And here I was, stressed and drained and carrying a weight that was probably never mine to even carry, a weight that they probably never even thought twice about. And in those moments, that's when it started to hit me that the stress wasn't about them, that it was about me. It was about the permission that I had given them to take up space in my spirit that they didn't deserve. Right? I had basically handed them the keys to my peace, and then I acted surprised when they kept driving off with it. So let me ask you this. Real talk, y'all. Who is the person or people that is stressing you out right now? Who's stressing you out? Brooke said, my mom. Right? Who's the person or people that you're stressed right now about? And even a harder question, let's take it a step further. Bill said, my kid's mother. Yeah, the children's mamas will definitely stress you out. I know, ladies, the children's daddies will stress you out too. At this point in my world, the children's siblings stress me out, okay? But even a harder question, why are we still letting them? Like, we know that these people stress us out. They're getting under our skin. They're disrupting our peace, right? They are the kings and queens when it comes to DOPs. And for those of you who don't know, a DOP is a disruptor of peace. I talk about them a lot. I put all their business out all the time. But why do we continue to let them? Right? Because until we stop excusing and explaining and overextending, we will continue to carry this weight. And again, y'all, it's not ours to carry. It's not our burden to bear. And I don't know about you, but I'm not in the business of sacrificing my peace to keep other people comfortable anymore. Like, those days for me are over. Right? Brooke says guilt. Yeah, we do be feeling guilty. But I rather deal with a little side of guilt than the stress and the mess that they bring, right, Brian? So I know that, like Brooke said, that the guilt comes with it. But here's the hard part to swallow. Most of the stress that you're carrying didn't even start with you. It started with other people. And yet somehow you're the one wearing it like a backpack that you never even signed up to carry. I mean, just think about it. How many times have you been sitting in your own house, minding your own business, and suddenly your whole energy shifts just because of what somebody else said or what somebody else did or maybe what they didn't do? That's that people stress, right? It's not the kind of stress that a nap can fix. It's not the kind of stress that money can erase. It's that soul stress, right? Deep within. Hey, Ashley. Because When people mishandle you, because that's exactly what it is when they do that, right? They mishandle you. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a wound, right? It is a wound. Stress from your job might make you tired. Stress from your bills might make you hustle harder, but the stress from people, that cuts deep. Like it feels like rejection. It feels like betrayal. It feels like your love, your time, your energy, your loyalty, your very essence wasn't even enough to be honored by them. And when I think about that, the real kicker in all of that is that sometimes the stress isn't even about what they've done, right? It's simply about how much you gave to them. Spark Motive, welcome in, bro. Right? It's about what all you've done for them, how much you've given. And that's the part that I think that breaks us down. Yeah, I mean, I can remember so many times where I was bending over backwards to be there for people. Phone calls at 2 a.m., dropping every single thing just to make, everything that was in my life that was important. But I would just drop it just to make sure that they were straight. Swallowing my own feelings just to keep the peace. Tolerating. And the minute that I needed them, oh baby, it was crickets, right? Silence, a whole disappearing act. And instead of, getting mad at them, y'all know what I did? I blamed myself, right? I completely blamed myself. I asked myself, why do I keep putting myself in this position? Right? Why do I keep expecting them to show up differently? But I think that the heavy truth of the matter is people stress us out the most because we give them access to the parts of us that they don't know how to hold. And every single time we ignore the signs, every time that we overlook the red flags, every single time that we hope that they'll change and we see the potential, we add more weight to our own load. And so we have to begin to pause and reflect and truly ask ourselves, who in our life has the power to flip our whole mood with one action? Then we got to be real and ask ourselves, why do they still have that much power? And then we can even take it a step further and imagine, what would it look like if I took my power back? Because stress doesn't just live in our mind, it lives in our bodies. It shows up with headaches, with tightness in our shoulders, with sleepless nights, right? It'll look like peace and quiet ghosts. Absolutely. Right? Stress is what's making a lot of us sick and tired and weary, right? And so it is truly time for us to begin to face the truth, right? It's time for us to reclaim our peace. And I think that, we have to start to get real about it. And we really have to set these boundaries with people and understand that boundaries are not a form of betrayal. Because like I said, most of the stress that we feel from other people isn't just about what they do. It's about what we allow. Because every single time they show up and every single time they do something, what do we do? Why do I keep letting him in? Why do I keep allowing her to come back? Why do I keep tolerating them? Why do I keep showing up with them? Right? So we start to just blame ourselves. You said that's why you had to walk away, because you were tired of being tired. I know that feeling, bro. Anybody else in here just sick and tired of being sick and tired? And I know it's a hard pill to swallow because nobody wants to admit the weight, on their shoulders. Right? We don't want to admit what we are carrying. Andrew said yes. Yes, right? But here's the thing. Every time that you guys say yes, when your spirit is screaming no, every time you keep showing up and keep opening the door or keep answering the phone for these people, you are signing up for stress. So we have to understand that our boundaries are not betrayal. Boundaries are survival. So I got to say it again. Boundaries are survival. We got to tell them it is called self-care, right? But see, the problem is we've been conditioned, especially women, right? Especially Black women. We've been conditioned to believe that saying no makes us selfish, right? That protecting our peace makes us difficult, that creating space makes us cold. But it doesn't. What it makes you is healthy. What it makes you is wise. What it does for you is free you. And I think that here's where the raw truth comes in. Some of y'all are walking around stressed out, not because, people are so bold, but because you're afraid to be firm. You are afraid to open your mouth, speak your truth, set your boundaries, right? You don't know how to say no without writing a whole dissertation. So many of my clients are like, oh, but I don't know how to say no. I'm like, you just open your mouth and say no. What you mean? Right? So many of them don't know how to set a limit without drowning in guilt. And so what happens is you start over-explaining, overextending, over-apologizing until your spirit is bankrupt. Many of you are not just on zero, many of you are in the negative because you have been constantly over-explaining, repeating yourself, overextending, over-apologizing. You've got nothing left. You all talked out, right? I mean, just think about it. How many times have you picked up the phone when you knew that you didn't have the energy for the conversation? Like you just looked at the caller ID, you seen their name, and you was like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to her. Why is he calling me? Hello? What'd you answer for? Right? Or how many times have you gone to that family gathering knowing full well you are going to leave drained, judged, and disrespected? Doesn't matter. So-and-so's birthday, family reunion, Thanksgiving, a cookout. You show up, you get all dressed up, you try to look, perfect and prim and proper, only to leave feeling drained and disrespected and judged. All the things you knew before you even got dressed. How many times have you said yes to helping someone when your own cup was completely empty? I'm talking about bone dry, not a drop in sight. That's not loyalty, family. It is self-abandonment dressed up as love. And here's the sneaky part. People will make you feel guilty for creating boundaries because it no longer benefits them. Hey, Cass, welcome in. Right? The moment that you set a boundary, you are of no use to them. And so all of a sudden they're like, they're going to call you selfish. They're going to say you've been distant. They're going to say you changed. But let me tell you something. When they say you changed, take that as a confirmation. Hey, girl, hey. Right? Take that as a confirmation when they're like, you've changed. Hell yeah, I changed. I'm supposed to. Right? I'm supposed to change. Seasons change. Everything in life changes. Why should I be any different? So when they start to tell you you've changed, take that as your confirmation. Because yes, you have. You've changed from being stressed. You've changed from being stretched. You've changed from, being hurt and being, abused. You've changed from being abused and misused. And what you've changed into is being rooted and grounded and free. And they don't like that. They're going to convince you that boundaries make you mean. They don't make you mean. Boundaries make you sustainable, right? They give you room to breathe. And so we have to normalize saying protecting my peace is not betrayal, it is survival, right? Because at the end of the day, family, you cannot heal in a space that constantly hurts you. And I think that some of us need to honestly just look around at the rooms that we are in and the spaces that we are taking up and being honest in who's around us and what we are tolerating. Thank you, Cass. We have to be honest because we cannot heal in a space surrounded by people and things that constantly hurt us. And if you want to stop carrying the stress of other people, if you want to stop carrying the stress that they keep handing you, you've got to learn to draw the line. And when I say draw the line, you have to stand firm in it. 10 toes down. I said what I said, right? No means no. And I'm drawing a line because this no longer aligns with me. And my girl, I know she over there thinking, if it don't align, I decline, right, y'all? So when I say what I say, and I say it with authority, right? I said it with my chest, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I said what I said, and I said it with authority because I'm finally the authority on me. It wasn't in Hustle and Flow where DJ got old girl to say, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of me now. I'm the captain of this ship. Right? I get to determine what I allow, what I don't allow, what I tolerate, what I won't tolerate. And another thing that I think we need to do better at, we have to stop expecting us from them. See, we're on this journey and we're healing and we're working on being better, but we cannot expect them to be like us, to do what we're doing, right? And I think this is where so many of us lose our peace. Right? We're out here stressed. Not because the people don't know, who they are, but because we keep expecting them to be us. Them people know who they are. They know exactly what they're doing. But we expect people to love like we love. We expect people to give like we give. We expect them to show up like we show up. Right? I did this for you. You should do this for me. We want them, to apologize like we apologize. But I'm going to say something right now to free somebody's soul. You've got to stop expecting you from other people. Everybody doesn't have your heart. Everybody doesn't have your loyalty. Everybody doesn't have your capacity to love, to forgive, to sacrifice. And so when you expect that from other people, you're setting yourself up for disappointment every single time. I mean, just think about it. Have you ever poured into somebody so much, and when they didn't give you anything in return, right? When they didn't return that same energy to you, you started questioning yourself. You thought, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I'm being needy. Maybe I'm the problem. But no, you're not the problem. You're just giving you to somebody who never had the capacity to give themselves to you. And the truth that we have to begin to understand is that some people can only love you to the level that they've healed. They can only meet you at the level that they've grown. And so expecting them to meet you higher when they're still operating low, that's like asking a toddler to drive you across town. You're not going to get there. It's not going to work. You're going to stay stuck and stressed, waiting on something that they don't even have the capacity to give. I'll never forget the moment when I realized this for myself, right? I was in a friendship where I kept bending, kept giving, kept showing up because that's just who I am, right? But every single time that I needed them, all I got was excuses, delays, or silence. And I kept saying over and over again, well, if it were me, I would have da 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 da. I mean, because if it were me, I would do X, Y, Z, right? But that's exactly where my stress was coming from, because I was expecting me out of them. And so I had to learn that just because I would doesn't mean that they ever will. And I think that's the heartbreak of it, but that's also where the freedom lies. Because the moment that you stop expecting you from other people, you stop being shocked when they don't deliver. You stop writing scripts for people who never even auditioned to play the part. It's when you stop loaning out your heart to people who can't even pay interest back in respect. Welcome in, Danny. And you know, disappointment is a tax on expectation. And so when you are constantly stressed by people, it might be because your expectations are tied to the wrong source. Stop expecting loyalty from people who are loyal to no, not even themselves. Stop expecting honesty from people who lie to themselves on a regular basis. Stop expecting consistency from people who can barely keep their own promises. Right? The promises that they make to themselves, they can't even keep it. So why would you expect them to be loyal to you? Why would you expect honesty from them when all they've ever told was lies? So we have to begin to free ourselves from those cycles, because the more you expect you from them, the more you hand the power to them to just stress you, right? The more that you just give over the keys to your kingdom for them to do what they want with. And so today we can affirm that I release the expectation from, of others to be like me. I release the expectation of me from others. I honor who I am without demanding it from them. And you're not crazy for loving people deeply. You're not wrong for giving fully. But it is time that we stop draining ourselves dry, waiting on people who were never built to pour the way that we do. Welcome in, Ezra. And once you stop expecting you from other people, I think that the next step is learning how to protect what's left of your energy. Because we've given away so much of it. So now we have to figure out how to protect it. We have to figure out how to reclaim our happiness, our joy. Thank you, Ezra. And so, we have to understand that peace is not just something that you wish for, right? It is something that you have to manage. Like, it is your most valuable asset. Because if you think about it, your energy is your most valuable asset, right? Your energy is more valuable than money. It's more valuable than time. It's more valuable than your job title, your car, your house, all that, right? Because you can make more money, but you can't make more energy. Once it's gone, it's gone. And, I think that most of us are out here spiritually bankrupt, not because life is that bad, but because we keep investing our energy poorly. We're out here spending energy on people and places and problems that will never, ever, ever give us a return. Let me put it to you plain. Every single time you argue with somebody who's committed to misunderstanding you, you are losing energy. Every time you replay like a text message in your head, you're losing energy. Every time you show up to places where you feel drained instead of fed, you're losing energy. And then we sit here wondering why we're tired all the time, why we can't focus, why our bodies are breaking down. It's not always your bad diet. It's not always your workload. Sometimes it's the fact that your energy has too many leaks in it, too many holes. And this is where boundaries meet management. You have to start asking yourself, who gets access to me today? Who gets the privilege of my presence? Who gets my yes? And who gets my not today? I promise you, every single day I wake up and before my feet touch the ground, just after I thank God for waking me up in my right mind, I'm determining what capacity I have for other people, right? What capacity I have to hold on to other people and the things. Who gets my yes? Who is not today? Because the truth is, not everybody deserves a front row seat to your life. Some folks need to be moved to the balcony. Some folks don't even get tickets to the show. And guess what? That's okay. Right? It's okay. Because when you start protecting your peace, people are going to call you selfish. We've already established they're going to say that you've changed. They're going to try to guilt you back into the version of you that kept them comfortable, the version of you that served them. But again, family, let me tell you something. They don't get to define your peace. They don't get to dictate your rest. They don't get to control how you steward your spirit. You have to be unapologetic about it. Because energy management isn't about being mean, it's about being wise, right? Because you cannot keep showing up pouring from an empty cup. And you don't owe anyone else access to you at the expense of you. Welcome in, LaShonda. So again, it is time that we begin to manage our energy like our life depends on it, because it does. Stress doesn't always come from doing too much. Sometimes it comes from giving too much to the wrong people. And the day that you learn to protect your peace, like your survival depends on it, is the day you start breathing again. So many of us have been taught to, that healing looks like, certain ways, right? Over the years, they've taught us that healing is polished and pretty. And these days, it has to be Instagram ready. That you have to be perfect. That you have to have all the answers. You've got to forgive on schedule, right? You've got to show up with your crown perfectly placed on your head while your soul is still bruised underneath. You're not gullible. I wouldn't say that you're gullible, Ezra. I think you've just been conditioned over the years to tolerate things because that's what makes us family, right? It's your mom. It's your dad. That's your cousin. That's your aunt. That's just how they are, right? And so we're conditioned. They tell her, you've always been the strong one. You've got it to give, so just give it. Just give it. But you don't owe anyone anything that's at the expense of you. You cannot give what you don't have to give, Ezra. Okay? And so, every single time that you show up, like I said, pouring from an empty cup, what are you actually pouring out? Who are you actually serving? So I need for you to understand that you don't owe anyone access to you at the expense of you. I'm not going to keep showing up, just keep showing up, cutting off, parts of myself so that way you can be okay. I'm not going to keep showing up sacrificing me and what I value just so you can be okay. When you don't even have the common courtesy to recognize that I'm running on E. Right? You said, then why does it affect or hurt me so much? Because you're a good person. You're a good person, and it hurts us because we care. Right? We honestly care about the people in our lives. But it goes back to, you have to be honest with yourself and ask, are you expecting you from them? Just because you show up and you're this amazing person who loves and gives, if you're then expecting them to be amazing people who love and give, then you're disappointing yourself. It's like if you see a homeless person on the street and you give them $20, and the next week you see that homeless person and you're running a little low on funds and then they don't give you $20, are you disappointed? Are you expecting them to do what you did when they've already expressed that they don't have the capacity to do so? Right? So again, I think that we've just been conditioned over the years to allow things from people, and that we have to tolerate things from people because we grew up in the generation of, you keep your family business quiet. And so we've all been taught to suppress how we truly feel, especially when it comes to family. Because with family, they tell us, oh, you have to take care of them. You got to be your sister's keeper. You got to be your brother's keeper. Right? And so that's why I said, over the years, we've been taught, we've been conditioned to believe these things. And at the same time, they've taught us that healing has to look a certain way. But the way that they've taught us, to be perfect, to have all the answers, to be forgiving on cue, on a schedule, right? To show up perfectly, proper. Don't show your bruises, right? Never let them see you sweat, type of thing. But that's not real healing. That's pretending. That's masking. Right? And pretending keeps the weight on your shoulders. And not only does it keep you carrying that weight, but it makes the weight heavier than it needs to be. And so we have to normalize that real healing is messy, right? I don't know how many times I say this during the week. Real healing is messy. It is ugly at times. It is raw. It is unfiltered. And yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable. But we have to get uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, you cannot be whole if you keep cutting off pieces of yourself just to make other people comfortable. You cannot be whole if you only love the parts of you that are easy, the parts of you that are easy and acceptable to everyone else. Hey, Pamela, welcome in. Hi, Rick. And yeah, I'm not exempt from this, you guys. There was a season when I thought that I had to have it all together, right? I'm talking about every conversation, every boundary, every relationship. I thought I had to respond with grace. I thought I needed to forgive on cue. I needed to keep my smile perfectly in place, even though on the inside I was screaming. My spirit was tired. My mind was anxious. And my heart felt so heavy from carrying everybody else's expectations. And I realized the problem wasn't that I had, people stress in my life. The problem was that I was giving my energy, my love, my grace, my very essence to people who were never equipped to hold it. And I was expecting myself to still be perfect while I was doing it. So I had to learn that that wasn't healing. That was exhaustion masquerading as virtue. And so when things got dark for me back in 2019, I had to learn that real healing looks like saying, I'm not okay today, and understanding that that's okay, right? That that's fine. I've learned that real healing looks like honoring the grief, the anger, the frustration, and doing so without shaming yourself for feeling it. Real healing looks like taking up space unapologetically, even if someone else isn't ready for the full version of you. And wholeness isn't about having no cracks. Wholeness is about embracing the cracks. It's about loving yourself in spite of them, and sometimes because of them. It's about showing up for yourself first before you try to show up for everyone else. And so, Ezra, I know that sometimes it feels like we're, like you said, just a losing battle, a never-ending battle. But we have to begin to do the work to say, you know what? This isn't about them. This is about me. This is about me. Because real healing looks like taking up space unapologetically. And if you have to cry, cry. If you need to yell, yell. If you need to scream, then you scream. Because over the years, we've been taught to suppress our feelings, to suppress our emotions. Don't cry. Don't do this. Don't do that. Right? But we have to feel the feels, because you cannot heal the things that you keep pretending that you don't feel. So you take all the time that you need. You cry. You yell. You scream. You feel everything that you need to feel. And all of your feelings are valid. Remember, this literally is our room to breathe. This literally is our safe space, you guys. And we listen and we don't judge, and we show up for each other. We support each other. Remember, guys, wholeness isn't about having no cracks. It's not about, not having flaws. Wholeness is about embracing them. It is about loving yourself in spite of them. Sometimes because of them. So today, I challenge you to stop trimming yourself down just to fit in spaces that you were never meant to even be in. Stop apologizing for your boundaries, for your healing, for your growth. Stop looking for validation from people who only stress you out. Wholeness doesn't require permission. Healing doesn't require approval. And your peace doesn't need to be negotiated with anyone who is consistently committed to disrupting it. Your affirmation for today is, I am whole, even in my mess. I am enough, even when it's raw. I am healing. And I give myself full permission to do it my way. I am whole, even in my mess. I am enough, even when it's raw, even when it's messy, right? I am healing, and I give myself permission to do it my way. The moment that you stop chasing perfection, the moment that you stop hiding the parts of yourself that you've been ashamed of, that's the moment that real healing begins. That's the moment that the weight starts to lift. That's the moment that you start breathing fully again. And let me tell you something. I want you to hear me. Once you taste that freedom, Ezra, you will never, ever, ever go back to being small to keep people comfortable. Never. You will never go back to sacrificing your peace for approval. That's the gift of real healing. It is messy, it is raw, but it is yours. And so today, you guys, what we're doing is just raising our awareness, right? We've been having a real talk conversation, naming the weight, naming the stress, naming the people who keep draining our peace. And so now we have to get practical about it, right? Because healing isn't just a mindset, it is practice. Healing is something we get to do. And protecting your peace is something that you do. It's not just something that you think about, right? And so for those of you who are like, okay, coach, Ezra, this is your cue. How do I do that? Right? How do I apply all of this? How do I shift all of this for myself? Right? Well, first, step one is to audit your circle. Audit your circle. And when I say audit your circle, I want you to take a hard look at who has access to your life. Who's lifting you up? Who's in your life just taking? Take a hard look at all the people that have access. Don't let guilt keep people in spaces that they don't deserve. Sometimes, like I said, you got to move them to the balcony. Other times, you need to show them to the exit. Both are okay. So again, step one is to audit your circle. Step two, stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let me say that louder for the people in the balcony, because we done moved some people to the balcony, y'all, okay? Stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Some folks don't want clarity. They want chaos. So stop explaining yourself to people who aren't ready to understand. I said, I'm cooking today. Let her cook, Brad. Every single time that you argue with the wrong person, you're giving energy away that should stay with you. So we have to stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding us. I tell my husband all the time, I don't want to I don't want to be, the what is it, the monkey in the window. Like it's a whole long story, y'all. And my dad used to say growing up, and he would say, imagine walking down the street in your neighborhood and you look over and you suddenly notice that there's a glass house that you've never seen in your neighborhood before. So you kind of stop and you look over and you see this glass house. And inside the glass house, you're able to see a man arguing with a monkey. And you're staring like, first off, where did this glass house come from? Okay, but anyways, why is this man arguing with the monkey? Like, does the monkey even understand him? Can he understand the monkey? Like, I'm confused. But now I'm on the outside watching, this interaction. I don't want to be the man arguing with the monkey. I don't want to be the monkey arguing with the man. Nor do I want to be the person on the outside trying to rationalize the very irrational thing that is in front of me. Because where did this glass house in my neighborhood come from? So, like, just the very thought of the house makes no sense. So then everything inside of that house is not going to make sense. So you have to stop trying to rationalize with irrational people. You have to stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And y'all know what I'm talking about. It's those people where every time you offer insight, they're like, oh no, but because, and so then you say, no, but you should try this. And they're like, no, because, and at the end of the day, you're just tired because you're arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Number 3, use scripts for saying no. I know that saying no is difficult for many of you, but I've literally wrote a script for us, y'all. Hit me up. I will teach you how to say no. If you have not yet mastered no as the complete sentence, if you have not yet mastered the phrase asked and answered to respond, hit me up. Let me help you. Okay? When we are saying no, you got to keep it simple. You've got to be clear. It needs to be guilt-free. We need to normalize saying, yeah, I got to go walk my fish. Hold on. The damn dog then took the bird out again. Right? Like, no, it's not going to work. And it's okay to tell people, hey, that doesn't work for me. My favorite is capacity. I tell people I don't have the capacity for that right now. Yeah. I don't have the capacity. I'm choosing peace over participation in this situation. Selfcareclub.org, Ezra. Selfcareclub.org. Yes. Hit me up. I will teach you how to say no. I literally have a 5-step formula. Anybody who's been through my self-care and boundaries 8-week program, oh, they know how to say no. Right? I give you a whole script. It's a little worksheet I can give you. We practice it. It's a whole thing in this community. Because again, I need for you to understand that boundaries don't need essays. They need clarity. So we have to normalize saying no. We have to understand that no is a complete sentence. And we can end that sentence with a period. And if they don't seem to understand, you can end that sentence with an exclamation point. Just as long as you start the sentence with no. Because the longer we try to explain it, then all of a sudden our no's become negotiable. I ain't negotiating. The United States does not negotiate with terrorists, and neither do I. And if you are a DOP, which is a disruptor of peace, then you are a terrorist. And I will not, I repeat, I will not engage. Number 4 is to step back without guilt. Step back without guilt. Sometimes there comes a point where you have to understand that silence is powerful. That walking away is powerful. Learning to not respond immediately or sometimes at all can be your healthiest choice. So if they are not hearing your no, if they are not reading the room, sometimes you just have to leave the room. That's when I gotta go get the dog walking the fish. I said no, asked and answered. No with the exclamation point. Now I got to go. I got to get up out of here. And I'm gonna do so without guilt. And you know what? That doesn't mean that you're being petty. That just means you're being protected. Because clearly what y'all got going on ain't for me. Clearly in this space right here, there's no respect for me. So I need to go protect myself. I'm tired of being in here fighting for my life. I am struggling up in here with y'all. So I'm not gonna be petty. I'm gonna just exit stage left. Because this what y'all got going on right here, too much. And what do they say? If it's too much, then go find less. What they doing over here is too much for me, so I'm gonna go find less. Right, Danny? I'm gonna just go over there and find less. Step 5, I encourage everyone to journal or do some sort of reflection activity. There's a lot of healing in the shadows. So you have to spend time asking yourself, whose opinion are you holding on to? And even to take it on a spiritual level, whose opinion are you holding on to that God never told you to care about? Right? Like, why does this person's opinion on what I'm doing matter? Focus Mental Health, welcome in. Why does this even matter? Like, who sent you? Like,
a few moments later.
I'm just gonna sit and think about it for a moment. I'm gonna think about it. And then all of a sudden I'm gonna reflect. I'm gonna look around. Like, who sent you?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
So take some time, write it down, reflect, release, right? Because putting it on paper is the way that, it like putting it down on paper is our way of telling our spirit that this isn't mine to carry anymore. It's our way of saying, you know what? I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna just go ahead and thank you for bringing it. I'm gonna go ahead and let you take this back with you. Think about the potluck. When the people show up and they bring the thing that you don't want, and you're like, oh, thank you so much for coming. Well, we don't want to waste it, so we're gonna go ahead and let you take this back home with you. Oh yeah, because we've had enough. Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen it done that way before, but I want you to take this back with you so it doesn't get wasted. Yeah. Right? That's what journaling does for us. That's what meditation and reflection does for us. It's our way to say, okay, I see what you're doing right there. I see what y'all did, but this no longer serves me, so I'm gonna just give it back. I mean, you gave it to me. Why can't I just give it back to you? You can just take that right on with you as you exit. Don't leave it behind. It's yours. Because it's not mine. Right, Sage? It's not mine. It's yours. Another step of how we can practically begin to reclaim our peace is to do energy check-ins. And when I say an energy check-in, I mean every day, I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself, who am I giving my energy to today? And by giving them my energy, is it serving me or is it draining me? This is the difference between walking through life tired and walking through life intentionally. Either way it go, we got a hike in front of us. I don't want to live life tired, drained. I want to walk in purpose. And to do so, that means I have to do so intentionally. So make sure that you're doing an energy check-in. And then lastly, one of the easiest things is to arm yourself and cover yourself with affirmations. Because words have power. Right? Your words have the power to build you up, and they also have the power to tear you down. So you have to understand that, these like affirmations, we use them to protect our peace. Right? We use them as a means of speaking life over ourselves, to manifest it. No, I don't have that, healed life now, but I'm working on it. So I can go ahead and speak on it. I can say things like, I no longer carry what's not mine to hold. I release people who drain my energy without remorse. Right? I think it was Ezra who talked about feeling the guilt of things. You just simply say, I release people who drain my energy without remorse. Right? We say, my peace is non-negotiable. For the longest, I had it written on my wall that the U.S. doesn't negotiate with terrorists, so neither will I. Because that was what made sense to me. I had to make it mine, right? But at the end of the day, I was declaring that my peace is non-negotiable. My no's are not negotiable. And here's the thing. Reducing, people stress isn't about being mean. It's not about being distant. It's about being smart. It's about being intentional. It's about being alive in your own life instead of exhausted in somebody else's chaos. And so when you start to implement these practical moves, something magical begins to shift. You stop overthinking every text, every conversation, every interaction. You start to reclaim hours of mental energy that you didn't even realize you were wasting. You start showing up fully for the people and the places that actually deserve. You are not required to. It is not mandatory for you to do so. Thank you, Victoria. So we've named the stress, right? We've called the people out. We've explored our boundaries and expectations and the real healing. So now it is time for us to seal it with truth. And that truth is your peace is yours. And no one gets a say unless you allow them to. I want you guys to hear me clearly. Living unbothered is not about ignoring life or people. It isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about choosing where you put your energy, your love, and your time. It's about being unapologetic about your boundaries. It's about finally saying, I'm no longer bending over for anyone who won't honor me as I am. It's about saying, I choose my peace. I no longer choose to be left in pieces. My boundaries in place. I'm protecting my space. Right? Saying yes to me, finally finding grace. And so what you need to walk away with today is that people stress is real, but so is your power. You have the power to say no. You have the power to step back. You have the power to remove yourself from toxicity without guilt. You have the power. Healing is wholeness, not perfection. So embrace your messy, raw, imperfect self. You are perfectly imperfect. God made you that way on purpose, right? So you have to love the parts of you that others can't handle, right? Because that's a sign of your strength. It's not weakness. You need to understand that boundaries are a radical act of self-love. Every single time that you choose to protect your peace, you are teaching the world how to treat you. And sometimes the people who can't honor your boundaries don't deserve to stay, period. They don't deserve to be here. You must stop expecting you from other people. Understanding that expecting you from others will only keep you stressed. So it is time for us to release the expectation of people mirroring your love, patience, and growth. When you stop expecting, you stop being surprised and you start being free. It is time for us to protect our energy like our life depends on it, because it does. Your energy is your currency. You get to decide how to spend it, where to spend it, when to spend it. So move intentionally, speak intentionally, love intentionally, and watch the stress melt away. Our final affirmation for today is I release the weight that isn't mine. I release the weight that isn't mine. I release the weight that isn't mine. I protect my peace. I protect my peace. I protect my peace. I heal in my way. I heal in my way. I heal in my way. I am whole. I am enough. I am free. I am whole. I am enough. I am free. I am whole. I am enough. And I am free. And I love when I put it all together, you guys, because it's music to my ears. When I hear, I release the weight that isn't mine. I protect my peace. I heal in my way. I am whole. I am enough. I am free. And so if you still feel like you need permission, let this be your permission slip. Not because I believe that you need it, but if you just wanted to hear someone say it, you heard me right. This is your permission. This is your permission to step off that stress treadmill that you've been running ragged on for years. This is your permission to stop carrying everyone else's chaos on your back like it's your responsibility. Thank you. This is your permission to finally, unapologetically be you. And when I say be you, I'm talking about the messy, raw, beautiful, whole, and perfectly human you. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to quiet yourself to make other people comfortable. You don't have to explain your boundaries like you owe somebody else a reason. And you certainly don't have to fight tooth and nail for respect that should have been there from the jump. That's on them, not you. So go ahead and take your power back. Close the door on people's stress that's been sneaking in, quietly stealing your joy, your energy, your calm. Close that door and don't feel bad about it. And then take a breath, because this is the moment that you will start living differently. So step into life, a life where you can breathe fully, where your energy isn't up for grabs, where your heart isn't carrying the weight that isn't yours, where your mind isn't replaying every, slight, every what if, every moment that made you doubt yourself before. Where every single day you get to show up as you, unapologetically, and you get to walk away from what doesn't serve you. I hope that today's podcast is more than just advice. I hope that this sparks a movement. It begins a new practice, a new way of living. And the most beautiful part of all of this is that it's yours to claim right now. So claim it. Step into it and watch how different your life feels when you stop giving people the power to stress you out. Because at the end of the day, you weren't meant to carry that weight anyway. Your peace is sacred. Your energy is precious. And your freedom is non-negotiable. Now, before we part ways, let me leave you all with a little love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels just out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. I love each and every one of you to life, and I cannot wait to connect with you all again soon. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I'll see you guys back tomorrow. Thank you.